welcome everyone to our session on Microsoft OneNote. OneNote is one of these applications that either you've been using it or I hear a lot of people say that they haven't tackled using it just yet. Now, just to show you, there are multiple ways to access OneNote. One option is to actually use it directly through Microsoft Teams. So here in Microsoft Teams, if I go to a team inside a channel, you will find a notebook. The notebooks can have different names so they can be directly related to whatever channel you happen to be in. But how they actually work is they are going to be kind of taking away of the need for having paper. So if you are the person that is still using a paper notebook, you have sticky notes, you have scratch pieces of paper, you're definitely at the right session. Because what I did several years ago now, as a matter of fact, when OneNote first came out, I knew I needed a way to organize my information better and be able to share that information with others. I remember having to take my paper notebook to the copy machine and make a photocopy of it to share with others. We don't have to do those kind of things with OneNote. OneNote is an electronic notebook. It can be used here through Microsoft Teams in a channel. And you can see I have this one here. I'm clicking on the tab at the top here for this accounting department notebook. Here in Teams, it's going to look a little bit different than the desktop version because this is actually the online version of the application. So you're going to see it has a smaller ribbon up at the top. On the left-hand side, this stack of books looking icon is where you can go to open and close the navigation pane. Okay, so just so you could see how it looks here in Microsoft Teams. But another way that you can access OneNote is by going to the online version. So if you want to go to your Microsoft account online through any internet browser, you can just open up the app from the apps launcher. So once you open it, though, what you're going to see is on the list is going to be of all of the notebooks you have access to. So notebooks by default, by the way, will be saved in your OneDrive, but you could save them in other locations if you wanted to, but by default, they do go to your OneDrive, okay? But I could open any of my notebooks directly from here. So just so you could see what one would look like, let me go ahead and open this one. So when I open up this notebook, you can see that the navigation is different on the left-hand side. The ribbon on the top, it has more, it's actually more of a full ribbon right now. But on the left-hand side, I still have that stack of books icon, and that's how I can open and close that navigation pane, just like I was doing when I was in the Teams version of it. So because this is through the internet browser, that's how this one works by default. But what do you use that navigation pane for? Well, the navigation pane is where you can go to change different sections. So in a OneNote notebook, once you create the notebook, you can then add sections to it. It will give you one section by default, just called section. I'll show you how that all looks and feels here in just a moment. But you can add as many sections as you need, and each section contains pages. So if you've ever gone to the store and bought a paper notebook that had 3 sections, 5 sections to them, it's very similar to that, except for, of course, you're limited when you have the paper. Now, there's going to be some aspects that I'll show you in OneNote today that are very similar to working with paper. So if you like the lines and different things like that, I'll show you how you can actually add those if you would like to. But what you're seeing then is on my left-hand side, I have a list of all my different sections. Every time I click on a section name, it automatically opens the middle pane to be a list of all the pages within that section. Notice how I have some pages that are indented under other pages. These are actually called sub-pages. So you can have a main page and then have related pages to it. But the cool thing about this is, if you think about a regular notebook, a regular spiral notebook, it's 8.5 by 11 by default. Here, this page is very wide and very long. It actually is pretty much endless. So you can add a lot of information to one page. But of course, you'd have to scroll to be able to get down and see the rest of the information. So I don't always cram it with too much, especially if it's not related to the other information on the page. I'll just go ahead and put it on a new page, which of course I'll show you how to create new pages as well. But when you look at the page on the right-hand side, at the very top of the page, you will see the name of the page. It automatically includes this box up at the top where it's going to give you a date and a timestamp, so you can see when that page was actually created. So this is the title area and gives you the current date and time of when it was actually created. Now the ribbon that you're seeing up at the top, you can see that I don't have very many tabs because I'm in the online version. I do have a home tab, I have an insert tab, we have a draw tab, we have view, and we have help. Those are the only tabs you're going to get. To be honest, I don't really use my OneNote through the internet. My favorite is actually to go to the desktop version. So another option for you is to use this one. Okay, so this is the desktop version of OneNote. You can see that I have a navigation pane on the left-hand side, just like the online version, but it's organized differently. It's not two separate panes, not a separate one for sections, a separate one for pages. It's listing the names of each section. Well, technically, I got to back up a second because I have more than one notebook open. Each of the colors, it actually looks like a notebook. This little icon, each one of these is different notebooks. Right now, I have expanded this notebook called Athon Projects, and indented underneath it is all my sections. Whichever section I click on, it opens up a pane that's just for all the pages. So I can see all the pages for any of the sections that I click on. Okay, just so you can see how it's organized. Now, how did this get created and what else do we have available? As far as accessing OneNote, well, you can actually use OneNote on your phone. It is an app. And if you log in with your Microsoft account, you'll have access to any of your notebooks. And of course, your notebooks can be shared with other people. I'll show you how that works today because I think it's a very important part of using OneNote. But if your OneNote notebook is in Teams and it's part of a channel, you can have it be automatically shared then. Because it's a tab within the channel, it's automatically shared with everyone that has access to that channel. Okay, so it's automatically shared with everyone. So everybody has rights to make changes, which is important to understand. But just so you're aware, it's more of an advanced feature for today's topic. But if you go to the left-hand side where I have all my lists of my notebooks and my sections, if you right-click on a section, you can see that you can rename it. You can even use Copilot, of course, in OneNote. You could delete a section if you wanted to. You could copy it, etc. You could create a new section from this right click. But notice this feature called Password Protect This Sheet. If you had a notebook that was in Microsoft Teams in a channel, and let's say, your whole department, 20 people have access to that notebook, but you have a section that you don't want everybody to have access to, you could password protect it. Then only share the password with the people that you want to have access to that section. So just so you know, you could do that. Also, sections have colors. Notebooks also have colors. So you can always change the color of each notebook to have them stand for whatever you want them to stand for. I never keep them the same color. I always have them as different colors. It's much easier to say, hey, go to the orange tab or, whatever, colors you have. So just so you could see, there's a lot of different color choices. If you right click on an actual notebook from your list, you're going to see sync status information, because what that is great for is it automatically does sync because of the fact that it is on a cloud. You have to have an internet connection to get to it. But if you did not have an internet connection, you would still be able to access your OneNote notebook, make changes to it, and as soon as you had an internet connection again, it would automatically sync things back up. But notice from this right-click menu, when you right-click on an actual notebook, you also have moving it up and down. So if you wanted to reorganize your list of notebooks, you can also click and drag to move things around. So you can rearrange sections, you can rearrange your notebooks, you can rearrange pages. You can just click and drag to do that. But the big part about this is there is a recycle bin. So when you right click on a notebook, you can see that it says notebook recycle bin. If you delete something, it goes to the recycle bin and it stays there for 93 days, then it's automatically going to be deleted. So if you needed to recover something, you most certainly can. Okay, so anyway, just so you know, right-clicking on a page, on a section, on a notebook, just like in Microsoft Teams, we can manage that object by right-clicking on it, just so you're aware that we could do that. So kind of cool that we get that capability. So anyway, when it comes to creating a notebook, you can create a notebook from your phone, from Teams, from your online application. It doesn't matter where you're at. But when it comes to creating a notebook here in the desktop version, you can go to the File menu. Just like you do with any other desktop app, go to the File menu, you can click New. Then you can see that on the right-hand side, I just need to choose where I want the notebook to be saved. Mine go by default to my OneDrive, but if I wanted them to go someplace else, I most certainly could choose a different location. But I'm going to go ahead and choose my OneDrive. I want it to go directly to my OneDrive. It goes into my Documents folder, into a Notebooks folder, so that is automatically created for you. So if I wanted it to go into a folder inside that folder, you could do that. Otherwise, you give it a name right away when you're in here. So let's say that I have a new project that I'm going to be working on. We've got some 2026 things coming up that we're preparing for, and we want to have a shared notebook to put all this information in that our whole department or our whole team will have access to. I'm going to name it 2026 New Project. Kind of generic, but just so you could see. Now I'm going to click create and I'll automatically have that new notebook. And it's coming up asking me if I wanted to invite people. I'm going to say not now. I'm going to wait and show you how to share it a different way because sometimes I get the notebook created first and I get some sections and some pages in there before I share it with other people. So I'm just going to click not now. So I'm automatically now in that notebook. You can see the notebook on my left-hand side. And as I said, I can rearrange these. I can move it up, I can move it down, those kind of things. But by default, I got one new section with one page. If I want to rename that section, so let's say that I'm going to put things together based on the phases of what we're going to do to manage our project. I could right-click the name of the section, left click rename, give it a new name, and then just press enter. So I'm going to say this is going to be the initiation, initial phase. If I could type today, I'll just put this in there for now. I could always come back and change it. I misspelled it, an initiation, but just so you know, I could go back and change it. But just so you're kind of seeing how things get added in. And then at the top right, my cursor is automatically blinking in the space for me to give the first page a name. So let's say that we're going to be working on the project plan. So I'm going to have a page for project plan. It automatically has date and time stamped. So I always will know when that page was created. So that's how pages and sections get created when you first get started. Now, of course, you can always add as many sections, as many pages as you need. If you see underneath, and I'm just going to move this up a little bit. there. So you can see it a little bit better. So when I'm on this 2026 new project notebook, I have this first section, which I should fix the name of this because it's going to drive me crazy. Initiation. I'll just leave it like that for now. If I need a new section, I just click the icon new section and it automatically will give me a new section. So maybe this is going to be the planning phase that we want to keep some information on. And of course, I get a new page in that planning phase section. So every new section, you always get at least one page. If you want to add more pages, and by the way, let me put in we're going to do planning information as the name of this page. And then if I want to add a new page, all I have to do is click add page within that page's pane, and it automatically will give me a new page. So you can keep adding more and more. And let's say that we want to have some planning tips for stakeholders. And that's actually going to be a part of the planning information. I can make that page become a sub-page two different ways. One way is to right-click on the name of the page. Notice when you right-click on the name of the page, it actually has more features than managing a section or managing a notebook. So we can always rename it. We can use Copilot to help us with things. We can delete it, etc. But we also have Make Subpage. Make Subpage is going to indent it to go under the page that is above it. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And now this planning tips for stakeholders page is indented under the planning information. Notice this planning information has a down arrow. If I click that arrow, it shrinks the subpages up. Click it again, it will expand the subpages back out again. So we can always collapse and expand those pages. So every time you need a new page, you just click the icon, or if you need a new section, you click the icon. But what are you going to do in a page? That's kind of the key to using notebooks, not just getting them set up. So one of the things that you can do is just click your cursor wherever you want to start typing. It's kind of like having a piece of paper where you just go to wherever you want on whichever piece of paper and you just start writing. You can do that same thing here. So my cursor is blinking over on this side right now, and if I put in, I want to put in notes. Oops, I cannot type today. Notes for planning. So I just put in a title of it. This is every time you click and just start typing, the text is actually being held in what is called a container. The container has a menu bar at the top, this little menu. Well, it's a little title bar at the top. And if you hesitate your mouse on it, you'll get the 4 arrows, which is your move handle. You can click and drag and move that wherever you would like to go. Now think about that if you had a paper notebook that you were working with and you wanted to take information from this page and put it someplace else. You can't really do that unless you, like I used to do, I would tear out that section of that piece of paper and then I'd go tape it on another page somewhere. It was not the easiest and it wasn't very organized or anything, but I got to tell you, that's all we had back then. Now I live and breathe in OneNote notebooks. Seriously, I am in them every single day. And I love the fact that I have my notebook with me all the time on my phone. So I don't have to worry about lugging my laptop with me, or if I had a desktop computer, I can still have access to all of it. Okay. So just so you could see some other options that you have for putting items in a page is, besides just clicking wherever you want to go, wherever you want to type, you can actually insert objects. If you go to the Insert tab of the ribbon, from here you can insert space. So like if I started adding a whole bunch of things and I need more space, whether I need space to the right, space to the left, space up, or space down, we can actually insert space. Now I don't really have much on here to insert space, but just so you could see, this is what it would do. So I clicked insert space and it's giving me this line, and depending on where I put my cursor, It automatically shows me that I could move things down, I could move things up, or I could just move things down if I'm below all my last items. So depending on what space I need, I just click and drag to provide that extra space. So it's great that we can kind of move things around very quickly that way. Okay. Otherwise, of course, everything will be inside a container. So nothing is here by default. It isn't like a Word document where you just start typing and are stuck to these pages. This is a free-flowing large piece of paper that goes way to the right, goes way down. You won't run out of space at all. But sometimes you want to move things around. You want to put things in a specific place, you can always do that. But some of the other things that you can add in is a table. On the top left of the Insert tab, if you click Table, you could choose how many columns and how many rows you want to start with, and it automatically puts the table wherever your cursor was at the time. So if your cursor was in a container that had text in it or something else, it can add the table directly to that text container. Otherwise, I was in a free spot, so it just automatically added it there, just so you're aware. But anyway, you could be entering information because maybe we want to keep track of, phase 1, what's going on in phase 2, what's going on in phase 3, etc. We can use it like you have a normal table. Matthew, did somebody have a question?
Yes. Someone was wondering if they can attribute someone on a notebook.
If they can attribute someone on a notebook.
Yeah, I believe they mean like, can they tag someone on a notebook?
Have I tagged? Let me try. I haven't shared this with anybody yet. So let me share first, and then let me see if I can do an app mention. Otherwise,
Yes,
and because they have to be someone you would be shared with. Okay. So it would have to be someone that you
Okay.
shared the notebook with. So if I
Right.
go to and just so you know, there's 2 different ways to share the notebook. You can right click on the name of the notebook and click share, or you could go to the top right like you see in most desktop apps. If you go to the top right, you can tell the system that you want to share the entire notebook. You can copy a link to it, put it in an email, those kind of things. I'm just going to say email. Well, actually, let me share the entire notebook. I'll do it that way because that's the same share as you get with any other share capabilities in Microsoft. Works exactly the same. On the top right, they have edit capabilities, but if you want them to only have view capabilities, you can change that. But let me share this with my student 1, and I would put in a message, here is the notebook, that kind of a thing. And then I'm going to click send. So now I have it shared with student 1. Let me see if I can do the app mention. Nope, not coming up. I'd never tried that before, and I didn't think that worked. Unfortunately, the answer is no.
Okay.
You can have an email link, a hyperlink, but
Yeah.
it doesn't app mention, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
good question. I'm glad they asked
Yeah.
because I've never
Thank
tried
you.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was gonna work.
I thought I was hoping that it would once it was shared with someone,
Mhm.
but unfortunate. Maybe
All right.
we should
Thank you.
wish for that. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of other things that are important that you might want to be adding in. So by the way, if you're in a table, you're going to have a table tab on the ribbon, just so you know. So you have some extra tools you can work with to help manage that table. Matthew, did we have another question?
No, but someone did suggest what I think is a pretty good workaround. They suggested that
What?
you can make a comment
Yeah.
on the thing and kind of tag them that way. I
Yeah,
suppose,
that would
yeah,
actually
that
be
would work.
that would be a good idea. We could add in a comment on it. You could always do something like that. I was just
Yeah.
looking on my insert tab because the insert tab is where I normally would go for, I'm not seeing adding a comment there, the review tab, sorry. Nope. Usually it's on the review tab or the insert tab, and I'm not seeing it on either one of those. So if somebody else has something else that they've done or tried, let us know. But otherwise, let's talk about a couple of other things that we can insert real quick. So very important when you're sharing something, when you're sharing information and have this shared notebook, what if you need access to different files? We can get access to files multiple ways here. You can do it as a hyperlink. You can attach a file that you can double click and open it from an icon, or you can actually put in the entire spreadsheet. If it's an Excel spreadsheet, you can insert an entire spreadsheet or a Visio drawing, or you can actually do what is called a file printout. Let me show you. If I go to file printout, just to give you an idea, if I wanted to insert a file, ooh, I wish I had something that I would have prepped prior to this, but let me insert this Excel file. I'll try and use the same file each chance that I do here, just so you could see. So what that just did when I said file printout and I navigated to my computer and opened this file, it automatically gave me every single sheet within that workbook because I chose an Excel file. Now, of course, if it were a Word document, it would give you every page within the Word document. If it's PowerPoint, it would give you every slide within the PowerPoint, that kind of a scenario. So now as I'm scrolling down, you can see every single page. But let me show you another option, which, by the way, it did give you at the top of this. It also gave us a link to get to the file by double clicking on that icon for the Excel. But let me show you another option. If you go to the Insert tab again, click on File Attachment, you could do it this way as well. So I'm going to do exactly that same Excel file. I'm going to click Insert, and it gives you a choice of, do you want to attach it as a file? Do you want to insert it like I did the first one, or do I just want a chart or table? I'm going to say Insert File, where I just get the icon that we can double click to open the actual file. So that's a couple of different options that you have. But let me show you another, because in the files group, we also have spreadsheet. From this dropdown, you have existing spreadsheet, or you can actually create a new one. So this is specifically related to this. So if I click existing Excel spreadsheet, I could navigate back out to my computer. I can only do Excel files from here, so I'm not seeing any Word documents, PowerPoints, or anything else, just Excel files. And all I do is select the one that I want and click Insert. Then I can choose once again how I want to insert it. If I click Insert Spreadsheet, it's telling me this file can contain harmful information to your computer, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to click OK and say, oh, that's okay. I want it anyway. It's automatically giving me a live document. So the file is live so that we can actually make changes to the file. So anyone that has access to this notebook is going to be able to have access to that file. Now, that file does need to be a cloud file, by the way. If you go to this file, you have an edit option. So when I came to the top left here, I have this edit option. You can double click or click edit and then click OK, because it's saying, because this is a link, but it will automatically then open this file. And just so you can see, if I choose this chart, and let's say that I change this chart design, I make changes to this chart design, and I close this file, I'm going to say save all my changes there, and it will automatically refresh and update this chart to match that. So it takes just a second, but it will automatically update. So there's a lot of different ways that we can have access to different files. And we have the links on the Insert tab of the ribbon as well. From the links, you could actually insert a hyperlink. So if you want to insert a hyperlink to a website, to a document, whatever the case would be, in the top you have where you could put in the address of where the file is stored at. So if you go to File Explorer, copy the path of the file by right-clicking, you could then paste it. Or you could simply go to the globe and bring in an address from the internet. If you want to choose a file by navigating your File Explorer, you can click the folder icon. That way you will have access to the entire list on your computer of your files, whether it's SharePoint, OneDrive, etc. So whichever way that you bring in a file or a website, it will be a hyperlink. So now I have a hyperlink to get to that file as well. Okay, just so you could see all these different ways that we could be bringing things in. But there's more to the Insert tab that I want to mention here before we end up running out of time. If you wanted to do a screen clipping, you had a window open of something and you want to put a snapshot of it on a page, you have the screen clipping option. We also have the capability of using pictures. Oops, sorry. Let me get my mouse back here and maximize that window back out again. You can also do pictures. So if you want to take a picture with your camera, if you had a camera on your computer, if you're using, of course, your phone and whatnot, you can do it that way too. But otherwise, you can bring one in from online, or if you had images that you wanted to bring in that were on your computer, you can do that as well. So I'll just say I want to bring in a picture from my computer. And if I navigate to not sure what. I'll just bring this picture in just to show you you could bring in a picture. You do get picture format tab on the ribbon with just a couple of additional tools that you can use with an image. Otherwise, you just get your image itself. Now mine's flipped. I would probably want to rotate that. But just so you could see, it automatically can have pictures. Now that is actually something that I do use on a pretty regular basis, because if we're working on something and we have all these different pictures we want to be choosing from, we want to know what for sure should go on the cover and whatnot. This is a great place to have them all be available so that everybody knows what they look like without having to go to a file to see them. So we could have a whole bunch of them, whatever it is you need. But they do have a sizing handle. So each of these squares on the outside edges allow you to resize the images. So you can always change them. And you get your move handle when you're on it. So if you want to move it someplace else because you put it in the wrong place on your piece of paper, you can do that. Okay, lots of different options there. But as soon as you click off the image, of course, the tools will go away. Just like when you're on a table, the tools automatically do disappear, just so you're aware of that. And then back to the Insert tab again, I want to show you just a couple of other things that you have that you can insert. You can insert online video. You could even record a video. So if I wanted to press record video, I could talk and it could leave the recording right on this page. So if I had a bunch of things I wanted everybody coming in to see, I could just go ahead and record it. But if you want to have an online video, whether it's YouTube, whatever, you could insert those as well. You can even have loop components. If you've ever attended any of our sessions on loop, you can insert loop components, which can be interactive, which is a great option to do. There's date and time stamping that you can also add. So if this was an image that I wanted to have a date or a time added to it, I can click date and time or just date or just time, and it will automatically insert whatever the actual date and or time is, based on your computer time, that is. Okay. But one of the things that I really like in OneNote notebooks is on each of these pages, when you are using the desktop version, there are page templates. So you don't have to start from a blank piece of paper. If you go to the icon for page templates, it opens this pane on the right-hand side, giving you different categories for the templates. So there's an academic, blank, business, decorative, and planners. So if I wanted to be doing some planning, I might want to look at the planner options, where we have a simple to-do list, a prioritized, or a project to-do list. I'm going to click project to-do list. It automatically creates a new page. So it doesn't just change the template for the page you were on, it automatically gives you a brand new page. At the top, you will still have your title. So you can change it if you want. It comes in as saying to-do list, but maybe this is actually going to be my project plan. So I want it to say project plan, but what it gave you is a background, and it also gave you different containers where information can go. Like this one says project 1, this one says project 2, and then it's got different bulleted items, but technically they aren't bullets. Although they look like bullets, these are actually checkboxes. They are called a to-do. We use what are called tags. Now, that's a way that you could tag someone, just so you know. You could create a custom tag and tag someone. Just so you're aware, you could have a tag with someone's name and then tag it with that tag, and that person's name would be assigned to it, or tagged to it, I should say. Not technically assigned, but what these boxes do is allow you to have a checkbox. But if I had a task in this list that I wanted to mark as a good idea, I could actually go to the home tab of the ribbon and go to the tags group. There is a gallery, a drop down of all of the different built-in options that you can use. So you can mark something as being important, you can highlight it, mark it as critical, etc. You've got all of these, plus down at the bottom you can create custom tags. Notice there's one called discuss with, and then it says person. You can assign who that person would be. Or you could just create a tag with someone's name, and then you could tag an item with that person's name. But I'm going to tag this as critical. It automatically adds the exclamation icon. It moved everything over because it's lining up. Every time something is tagged, it moves everything over one space, just so you know. Now, how do all these tags work, by the way? Well, the way that these tags work, and I'm going to go to a notebook that has more information in it. I'm going to this, actually, I'm going to go to Athon, this notebook. Let me go to this notebook because I have a lot of different tags going on in this notebook. So if I wanted to use a tag and be able to come back and find it again, I'm going to close my templates window for right now, and we can actually go to the view tab. I'm sorry, insert tab. And from here, I forgot what I was doing. Oh, sorry. I wanted to show you the tags first. I was going to show you something else here real quick. But let me show you how you can search for the tags first. So here on the home tab of the ribbon in the tags group, if you click find tags, it's going to open up a new pane on the right-hand side that's going to allow you to search for different tags within your entire notebook. If you only want to search within a page or a section, you can do that also. But on the right-hand side, here it's showing me these are all of my to-do items. And you can see it's even showing the checkboxes. So I don't have to go to something to mark it as done. I can just click the box from the search. So on the right-hand side, if I scroll down, every one of these, if I did something, completed it, I just click the box in front of it. Now, if I had other tagged items, I could also be seeing those on the window. So let me tag this as being important. And let me tag this as being important. And on the right-hand side, right now I'm only seeing tag names. I can choose, do I want to see titles? Do I want to see group everything by the tag name? So these are different ways to kind of organize everything. And down at the bottom, I'm going to refresh the results. And now it brought back the things that I had just tagged. So the two items that I just tagged as important are now showing up in this Find Tags window. So it allows you to search for any of those items that have been tagged. So if you create a custom tag with someone's name, it's going to come up as a category, especially if you are grouped by tag name, because then any of these names, whether it's critical, it's password, etc., any of these tag names will be in a group, and you'll see underneath that then, of course, anything that is tagged with that. So just so you could see, that's a great tool to use. I use it a lot in every one of my notebooks, because if we have things that we're working on and we're kind of brainstorming things together, having a OneNote notebook to be able to share with other people would be a great idea, because this way everybody knows the same information, everybody has access to everything. It's just such a great tool. And these tags just enhance that capability by allowing us to put in, I have a question on this, I can tag it with a question mark, and then we can look at all the questions and make sure that they get answered, and we can do the to-do, and when we're done with it, we can have it be crossed off. Lots of great features that way. But let me go back to the other notebook again, although I didn't have as much in there. Let me come back here for a minute, because I want to talk about a couple of other things. So I went to this page called Planning Tips for Stakeholders. And if you go to the Draw tab of the ribbon, you can see you have different drawing tools. So if you want to use a stylus, you have a touchscreen device and you want to use your finger, you want to use your mouse, whatever your case might be, you can actually write right inside your notebook. So if I choose my drawing tool, as soon as I click on it, now my mouse is that drawing tool. So if I choose a highlighter, I choose a marker, I choose a pen, and I can choose pen colors, that kind of a thing. Now I can come in here and I can write. Now I'm using my mouse and I am not very good at this. I do my name over and over again because I can get a little bit better at that each time, but I do not use this very much. I use it on my phone with a stylus because I have a stylus on my phone, but I don't use it when I'm in the desktop version of the application very much. But just so you know, you could. There's also a way to turn it into text. If you go back to, because right now your mouse is still going to be that select of that tool. So right now I can't select an object. So if I want to go back and have my mouse back to normal again, you go back to the Draw tab and on the left-hand side, click Select. Then you have a regular mouse back again. If I click any of my text objects, just so you know, I can do ink to text. If I click on the icon from the ribbon ink to text, it will automatically translate it into text. Now, it didn't understand all of it. It's all about your handwriting, but just so you could see that you could use that. But if you're going to do that, you might want to know about this other feature. On the View tab, which is what I was going to show you a minute ago, and I forgot I was doing tags, is we have the capability of, like a template, you can actually change the page color. So you have access to all of these colors on this page color dropdown, or you can go to more colors and choose your 16 million different color options, just so you know your pages can have a background of a different color. Also, you have rule lines. From the view, from the View tab of the ribbon, you have this drop-down arrow to choose different types of lines. So if you're used to college ruled, you like the narrow, you like the wide ruled, you can choose those, or you have grid line options. So if you're going to be doing some drawing and things like that, you might want grid lines. So if I click on this wide ruled, it automatically puts lines on the piece of paper. So you can have it look like a notebook. So then if you're going to be using those drawing tools and you want to actually write like you're writing in a lined notebook, you definitely can do that. So it's pretty cool that we have that type of capability. But there is a paper size from the View tab as well. By default, it's on auto. But if you want it to be a specific paper size, you can change the size. So if you want it to be a letter size, an A3, A5, whatever, you can change it. But auto means it's going to automatically just keep adding more and more space to it. Okay, so pretty cool that we have that capability, I think. But I do want to go back to the history tab here for a minute, because if you're going to be sharing your notebook with other people, which 100% you probably will. I have very few notebooks that are just for myself. I have a few, but not too many. Most of the time I create them because I want to be able to share the information with, scared me, be able to share the information with other people. So it's best to make sure that you have it set up that way. But if you want to be able to find edits that somebody else has done, you can actually go back to reviewing edits. You can find things based on who the author was. So if I go to find by author, of course, I have been the only author so far, but I could actually have a list of who the other authors are and choose the author that I want to see their edits from. There's different page versions. You also have the capability of getting back to the recycle bin from here, which we could also do by right-clicking on the name of the notebook too. So lots of different ways to do the same thing sometimes. But back to the Home tab. because I didn't really do a lot on the Home tab. We saw how we could just click wherever we wanted to add text in, and we can add in text. We do have the capability of using formatting. So if I want to format the text, I could select it like you normally do. You will get a mini toolbar. That mini toolbar will give you your standard formatting features, or you can go to the Home tab of the ribbon. If I want to make that a size heading 1, I could use a style, or of course you have your other attributes. If you want to be doing, like bold, italic, those kind of things, you want to do numbered lists or you want to do bulleted lists, you have the capability of doing all those. So if I want the phase 1 and then I want phase 2, etc., you could do numbers or bullets. Okay, so you get a lot of formatting options available. So it's a matter of just selecting the text and then applying it. But the other thing that I use quite often in here is actually meeting details. If you want to add the meeting details to a page so everybody has all that information, you can click meeting details from the Home tab. On the right-hand side, this has actually been updated here recently, so mine comes up right now with saying, introducing the new meeting details, choose a day to see the meeting. So basically what that means is up at the top of this right-hand side of the window, you can click the calendar, go to the date that you want to see the meetings from. You then can click on the name of it, and it will automatically insert a container with all the meeting information. Notice it's also giving you a link to the Outlook item. So coming from your Outlook calendar. So it's giving you a link to it. You can expand out and see information on the invitation message, who the participants were. All of that can be expanded or collapsed. This has been enhanced in the regards of it's giving us more detail and it's easier to use. It's a more modern look than what we had previous. So this update just came, I'm going to say, within the past month. But I really like that. I think it's so if I had added notes to the meeting or anything like that, that would be included as well. So we can get all of the content from past meetings or meetings that we have coming up. Okay. So super easy to use those types of features for you, all depending on what it is that you need. Now, how are you going to be using these notebooks? Well, for me, a lot of my notebooks are really in Teams. I have a lot of them that I use desktop because I can have a notebook from Teams be opened in desktop. So I don't have to use the online version if I don't want to. So like this notebook that I have called IT Training Notebook, that's actually a notebook coming from Microsoft Teams. So all I did was open it here. I basically went to the File menu, clicked Open, navigated to the physical location of where the notebook was. And the notebook happened to be in SharePoint because it's Teams and so it's part of SharePoint. So it automatically was saved there. So I just navigated to where it was located at, clicked Open, and it became open, which means that it's available here on this left-hand side. What that basically means is you can have quick, easy access to the notebooks you want to see on a regular basis. If you have a notebook that I'm done with that project. I don't want to delete the notebook, but I don't need to see it here. You can actually go in and close a notebook. So it's not going to be available on the menu. You can, of course, still go back to its original location and reopen it again if you need to, but by default, it's not going to show up here on this list. Okay, so I really like that because I don't need all my notebooks all the time. I only keep the ones that I'm actively working on, the ones that I'm done with the project, but I don't want to get rid of the notebook and all of its detail. I'll just leave that. And it just isn't going to be on my menu because I don't want to clutter up my menu with things that I'm not really using. But you can see, look at all these pages in this notebook. You can add as many as you need. It's kind of crazy. I got to tell you though, like I said, this is something that I seriously do use every single day. But we do have a search bar at the top that I wanted to mention here real quick, because when I'm saying you can have all these sections and all these pages, how are you going to find anything? You can use the search up at the top. So it is your typical Microsoft search. So you can see that it tells you just start typing here to bring features to your fingertips and get help. So you can have quick, easy access just like you can in any of your other applications. You have that search capability at the top. So definitely take advantage of that. So when it comes to the notebooks that you create, if you want to create one from the internet, you go to the app online, you can create it. If you want to create one here, you can definitely do that as well. If you want it to be a part of a team, by default, when a channel is created, it does give you a notebook automatically, but you can have as many notebooks as you actually need. Okay. So when it comes to, what are you going to do with these? I want you to look at how are you currently doing things? Is it working for you? If it's not, if you're having difficulties with one thing or another, give these a try. If this isn't something you're actively using yet, today's your day to start. I'm going to tell you, I never looked back. I don't use any other notebook programs at all. This is my go-to because of how easy it is for me to get to everything. Plus, I can have it available as part of my Microsoft 365 account. So I'm not using any third-party ones or anything like that. I'm strictly using all of it here within OneNote because I want everything to be accessible from one place and be able to manage it through my account. But that's all we were going to talk about today. Matthew, did we have any other questions that had come through from the group today?